Hello people, what up guys, what up people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. This is the Pioneer YouTube channel and I am underscore priceless, coming to you live and direct from Abuja, Nigeria, West Africa. Guys, on today's episode of our global text and perspective, as the title suggests, we are making reference to the exciting and cheering news coming straight up from South Africa. Yes guys, how the South African president wants Nigerians to come to South Africa without passports. Guys, you see, first and foremost, this content is not in any way, a content to bash Nigeria or to bash South Africa. But in this content, I must say my mind, because there's a point at a time that I will hit on South Africa, and there is a point at the time that I will also hit on Nigeria. Yes, guys, you see, because I, as a person, I believe in unity of Africa. I am a Pan-Africanist. I am an African that believes in the unity of Africa. But for too long, we've seen these two dominant countries whom are supposed to be the pioneering, countries in Africa, leading the way for other countries in Africa to follow, have been at the loggerheads. And it baffles me. Why are these two dominant countries on the continent are fighting one another? It's something shocking. It's something bad. So, you see, before the recent meeting, which was yesterday, between the Nigeria-South African bilateral summit that took place in South Africa, we've seen Nigeria and South Africa, especially the toxic, relationship on social media between these two people or between these two countries. They've always been against one another. They've been criticizing one another. They've been saying all manners of things against one another, to the point that South Africans went ahead to bully Chidima, Vanessa, Onwe, Adeshina out of the contest of South Africa, and pave way for a lady that she's the skin color suggests otherwise. Like I said, I'm not a racist and I don't want to mention her race, but it's baffling that two African countries, a black person, a person of color, would be fighting one another. Why are we doing this thing to ourselves? Why are we living in the 21st century fighting on one another? South Africans, if you don't know today that Nigeria as a nation, as a country, I constituted, or I followed and contributed to the emancipation of black race in South Africa today. Because if you are in Nigeria and you are 25 years above, you must have contributed. We starve ourselves when we were in secondary school, in churches, in mosques, in other places. People contribute money just to emancipate our black brothers and sisters in South Africa during the apartheid regime. But it is something really disturbing that South Africans could be picking on. They could be picking on blacks. I am not saying that Nigerians and other people that they found their way in South Africa are not indulging or engaging in some sort of, shady deals. That is not what I'm saying. But the truth is, the whole nation cannot be the same thing. The whole nation, be it Zimbabwe, be it Nigeria, be it Botswana, be it any Namibia, any Somali, Kenya, any country, you cannot tell me that the people are the same. With the latest news coming from South Africa, we've seen how the crime rate that South Africa normally accuse foreigners of committing, they are the ones committing. Statistic, everything is from the South African government. So how is Nigerians going to South Africa to commit those crimes? And I'm not saying that there are no Nigerians committing such crime. You know, see why I said I'm gonna hit South Africa also, and I'll hit Nigeria also. Why? So, the cheering news that President Ramaphosa came on, the internet and shared with the world his, request and honest, policy, direction of inviting Nigerians to come forward to South Africa, ensuring them of his, regime commitment, dedication towards their welfare, ensuring that they are giving, visas, which will just take like 5 days for the visa to be approved, calling on Nigerian investors. And that is what we want to see, an African continent where there's a massive free flow of what business and economic activities among the countries. We should leverage the African Continental Free Trade Zone treaty that was signed some years ago. And that is the foundation upon which we need to shackle and break down these artificial borders that is constraining us, that is stopping us from moving around with one another. Imagine there's a free flow and free movement. I should just enter a car or a train from Nigeria here to Nairobi, Kenya, or to Joburg in South Africa. Imagine the economic prosperity that will take place among African nations. But we are here busy fighting one another, calling one another names, kwere, all this, all that, all this. South Africans, if you don't know, we have South Africans in Nigeria and they're living peacefully. Nobody is saying anything to them. Nigeria and Nigerians welcome everybody. That is just the truth, especially if you're a black person. When you come, nobody even cares to know which person you are. And that is the big brother role that Nigeria has been playing. Nigerian foreign policy, which Africa is the centerpiece of its foreign policy. That is the reason why you see black people are welcome. And that policy was informed by the challenges and struggles of black South Africans. And that was why Nigeria said Africa is the centerpiece of its foreign policy. So anything that affects any person in Africa, it affects Nigeria. And that is why Nigerians are proving time without numbers. Anywhere in the whole wide world, when you meet them, if things are not working well with you, if Nigeria see you have been challenged, he will stand up for you. He will fight for you. He will show he emancipates you. He will show he liberates you. He will show he gives you a voice. And that is how Nigerians are. They are fearless. And sometimes, because they are fearless, people think they are rude. Nigerians are the most sweetest human being you ever come across. But I know we have some bad Nigerians also. Guys, I'm a Nigerian. This content, like I said, is about objectivity. We're going to say the truth and nothing but the truth. We have Nigerians also who are toxic also. But those Nigerians, they are less than 1%. But if you fetch water in a bucket or in a drum, when you drop just a little drop of a kerosene or petrol, the water will be contaminated. Just a little drop. And that is how things are done. There is generalization, confirmation biases. You understand? So some people, when they hear the name Nigeria, because Nigerians, they have this self-belief, courage. Nigerians they are not easily intimidated. In fact, they are not intimidated by anybody. So when people hear Nigeria, it gives them a sleepless thought at night. So now, with the permission of South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, His Excellency Ramaphosa, it is something important that let there be unity of purpose among these two countries. You guys are the leading countries on the African continent. You guys need to be the examples to other African countries to follow suit. Instead of fighting, always Nigerians, South African fightings. And it's wrong. And when it comes to the dragging, I have to tell South Africans, they are always moved by emotions. You need to curtail. You are too sensitive and emotional. You need to curtail it. You need to checkmate it. You need to contain it, suppress it. Because it is women all over the world that are known to be so emotional, not men. And South Africans are so much emotional. You are dating a lady, a Nigerian snatches her, it becomes an issue. Or you start calling the lady, a South African lady or anybody, person, Jolofina and the rest. Why are you calling them those names? If you want to prove, pick up the challenge, pick up the competition, prove to Nigerians that yes, indeed, you too can love, you can be romantic, you can be nice. If you want to make it, venture into business. Don't just be going to people's spicer shops and the rest and you start looting. It's wrong. You are bringing down the economy of your black brothers also. And you are welcoming all other nationals around the world. You are welcoming them while you are fighting and chasing people who targeted xenophobic attacks because they are blacks like you. And remember, these people once fought for you. These people once stood for you when you were nowhere to be found. When your voices, your identity was, almost hijacked, suppressed. So it is something elating, it is something important. We are happy with the call of His Excellency on Nigerians, and we are telling Nigerians also, if you know you don't have genuine interest and intention of visiting South Africa, to engage in business that will bring money, business that will increase the GDP of South Africa, business that will upscale your immediate operating community in South Africa. Don't even contemplate going. Because he has said it will take only 5 days for visas to be approved to Nigerians. And the issue, the reason why this thing took place is because of the recent Chidinma case, plus the other prolonged cases of and traces of xenophobic attacks on blacks and Nigerians. The one thing with Nigerian government is they don't talk. When you are doing them wrong, they don't talk. And that's one classical thing with Nigerians. Nigerians will not look for your trouble first. They will not find your trouble first. But if you find their trouble, if you look for their trouble, Nigerians will serve you in multiple times. Remember, just of recent, it's still fresh in our hearts when the Chidinma issue was going on. A South African guy, ordered an Uber in Nigeria and gave a fake address, and he was dribbling the guy. He recorded and posted on Twitter. That got Nigerians really, they said, no, enough of this. Nigerians now try to give South Africa a little, taste. So now, like President Ramaphosa has said, His Excellency has said, let's come together, let's work together, let's forge this unity, this synergy of being our brother's keeper. Because Nigeria, like he said, is South Africa's biggest, Nigeria is the South African biggest, trade partner in West Africa. And in Nigeria right now, guys, South African companies are leading ways. They're dominating, they're making waves in Nigerian markets. We have the DSTV, we have the MTN, which is a mobile telecommunication company. We have Pick and Pay, ShopRite, even though they've sold it to a Nigerian now. We have Pep, is it Pep something? There are enough South African products in Nigerian business. If Nigerians are wicked, they'll be fighting. And then they'll say, well, let's chase South Africans out. Because they are collecting money from Nigerians, they're taking money to South Africa. No! A Nigerian is not deterred. A Nigerian does not fear competition. Instead, he faces it head on to ensure that he really, surmount it. So, with the call of President Cyril Ramaphosa, South Africans, Nigerians, let's come together. We are our brother's keeper. We are one Africa. African unity must be preached. Africa is one, just like Julius Malema, who has been standing up in one voice, calling for the unity of Africa. I'm calling on each and every one of us, Nigerians, South Africans, and any other Africans. If Africa must go down, we all have to blame ourselves. Why do we allow external forces to divide us, to rule us for easy conquering? This is a game. You need to wake up, blacks. It is a game. You have been played, and you are playing sheepishly into the hands of people who you think they love you. They don't love you. So South Africans, stop seeking validation outside of your arrest. You don't need to seek validation. You can be who you want to be. Believe in yourself. The world is for conquering. The universe you see, sorry, the universe you see, when you believe in yourself and you believe in the universe will conspire and give you your heart desires. So South Africa and Nigerians, let's come together. We are one. We are brothers keeper. Please, those posting rubbish, calling out the president, calling out Nigerians and saying all things, stop it. Africa is one. Africa must remain one. African unity must be preached. Africa will continue being a force that it is and it was created to be. So it is important. If this is your first time, if you're a South African, this is your first time of coming across this YouTube channel. This is the Pioneer YouTube channel, and I am a Nigerian. I broadcast each and every day from Abuja, Nigeria, West Africa. I am on this channel. We talk about what? Documenting traveling experiences, studying abroad opportunities, and takes on global perspectives just like this. If you check our old content, our global perspective videos has been mainstream mostly on I Am Marwa, one of our famous African songs that some Africans are fighting. You see the issue I'm saying, we need to unite as Africans because we are one. We cannot keep fighting one another. A Kenyan is by the name I Am Marwa. If you've never heard about him, check him, I Am _Marwa. That's I Am _MARWA. You see much more of what he's doing. He's a son of Africa that is doing marvelous and wonderfully well for the African continent, for the African people. So we cannot continue fighting one another. We cannot continue, we cannot afford to see one another as enemy. South Africa and Nigeria, whether we like it or not, we need to come together. The world must celebrate Africa, and Africa must unite. It is something. The two presidents, you saw the South African president and the Nigerian president, and the way South African president came out and said the truth, and he speak the truth, and it's just like an indirect way of apologizing what has happened. So guys, see us again in our next content.